Welcome to episode 6 of The Cap. We are doing something very special this week. We are going to have the Power of Love, a post-Valentine's Day edition of the Culture and Arts podcast. I am Joe Ruiz. Next to me on my right is David Merle.
Good morning.
How's everything going this week, David?
Well, great. Besides the fact I hit a drive-thru this morning and no napkins. If those guys could give me napkins in my breakfast, I promise I'd support the legislation to make them have $15 an hour.
It's like 10-10, right?
10-10, 15,
$20, whatever.
I get my napkins and they'll prove me that they're worth every penny that they can. But right now, the guys, they got to stick with minimum wage at the lower wage.
Did you have a smashing Valentine's Day?
I did have a smashing Valentine's Day. Since we had some, child obligations in the evening, had to go to my children's school. Met up with my lovely wife, Kim, for some Valentine's lunch. Went to a restaurant here in town. It was pretty incredible. She, got me a bunch of junk food snacks, soft drinks and chips and Snickers and Reese's and all the great things that make my Valentine's Day special. Besides my daughter getting some Valentine's gifts from a boy, that it was a pretty good Valentine's Day.
Oh, hold on.
Breaking news.
What did she get?
12 roses. 12 and then little balloon. Not, that's a tough thing. Like, my daughter comes out with this to show me what this boy got her. And, it's this balance because I want to show her, that I'm approachable and we can talk and this is a part of her life she wants to share. But I'm not excited. You know what I'm saying?
Understandably so.
So it takes the poker face of the century to be like, yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. That's tough.
Oh, my gosh. I'm not looking forward to going through all of that.
You got some stuff to look forward to, Joe.
Well, to my left, as always, we have Jason Merle. Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
How was your Valentine's Day?
I had a special Valentine's Day ritual called Normal Friday, where I went to work and then, ran to the bank and ran some errands. It was quite the day.
I thought I seen you doing some laundry on your Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Right. Exciting stuff. Right. Jason also is known for watching. He had a tradition of watching hockey on prom night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hockey on prom night.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess if he has an affinity for beating things with sticks, then he probably shouldn't have gone out with anyone anyway. Well, my Valentine's Day went really great. We had a family dinner because, Valentine's Day is not just about your significant other. It's about everyone who you love. It's a celebration of love, just as this podcast could be. Or it could be something completely different. But my wife and I had a candlelit dinner with our children. We had wine, they had sparkling white grape juice, and then I cooked an appetizer and my wife cooked a dish. So we had a homemade bang bang shrimp. Bang bang shrimp is a dish that is popular at the Bonefish Grill.
Okay.
And we found a mock recipe for it. And so we made that, and then I made some bacon avocado cheese egg rolls that I found a recipe for online. That was pretty good, and we had a salad.
The cooking in the Ruiz family far outdoes anything we're seeing at the Merle home.
We both love to cook.
Well, that is amazing. I love to wait for what my wife is cooking.
Can I just tell you, my cooking has been crippled because my microwave quit last night?
Right. Mr. Bachelor and the microwave breaking.
It's great that you're a bachelor and you're still eating like you're in college.
No bang bang shrimp at Jason's home. No. Is that right?
Some bang bang ramen noodles.
Right. Bang bang Jack's Pizza.
Bang bang pizza rolls. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've got some really crazy, really zany stories for you guys. Last week, we had a little bit more of an in-depth discussion, and like we said last week, that will happen from time to time. This week, however, is not going to be that week. We are going to talk a little bit about love. We are going to talk a little bit about relationships. We are going to talk about some people who are in love and potentially should not be in relationships. And we're going to talk about Sports Illustrated, too, because Sports Illustrated has their swimsuit edition that came out recently, and that's just got a big cultural impact. So kind of stepping aside from the love discussion, we'll end the show with that. And to start it off with, guys, are you ready to talk about some love?
Let's go.
I should, insert the Huey Lewis track, The Power of Love.
You should.
Right here in the podcast.
Huey Lewis, anything 80s, Back to the Future flick, that's all great stuff, included as a part of our show.
Yes. And maybe by the end of this podcast, we'll be able to impress upon our audience that it don't take money, it don't take fame, Don't need no credit card to ride in this train.
That's right.
All right. Well, the first article that we are looking at today it's from the dailymail.co.uk/everything in the world. It's the longest address I've ever seen, but it's the most depressing Valentine's Day gift ever. And what they've done is do you remember, David, in the second episode of the show when we talked about the Japanese people who had kind of concocted the man bra or the man's ear?
Yeah, a lot of craziness there. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of equivalent to that in terms of crazy. And what it is, it's a kissing pillow that offers solace to singletons and lets them practice their snogging skills. And what I mean by that is it's a practice make-out pillow, a pillow that actually has a human face model sewn into it so that you can practice making out with a pillow in case, you weren't very good at making out.
But, it has no eyes. So for the people that can't see it has no eyes. So that is what this actually looks like is there's a human being sewn into your bed. It's about the creepiest thing that you'll ever see.
Yeah, it's like they cut out the bottom half of a face from like a CPR dummy.
Yeah.
And sewed it into the pillow.
Yeah.
This is not going to make a lot of money other than in the gag gift category.
Gift, yeah.
Because if you're under 18, is probably the only market where people might actually see a value in some practice makeout session. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, like once you get beyond 18, even if you lack in your makeout, experience, people aren't going to walk in and buy that. Not only that, I've never heard a story where someone has backed out of the makeout session. You're like, you know what? You just need more practice. I think I'm, once you've got there and it's normally all systems go. I don't know.
In this pillow, guys, $31.
What?
$31 they want for this pillow. And I have to make an association that because David brought up the fact that they have no eyes. You know how they say that the eyes are the window to your inner soul? Well, I mean, maybe because this is supposed to offer solace, that word sounds a lot like soulless. Uh-huh. And maybe that's the point of the pillow is they don't want them to appear as though they have souls because that would be creepy.
That would be creepy.
That would be creepy.
But anytime the emotionless, anytime you can't read into someone's eyes, that's what makes someone creepy. Mm-hmm. Anytime in the movies they got the Chucky with no emotion in the eyes, they got the hockey mask. So this really looks like you're making out with a serial killer.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
now, could they make like a stalker version where you could put like a woman's face on it, like whoever you're going after?
Oh no! Oh no!
That is really a practice pillow, right?
Now,
oh my gosh!
The model pillows here are all men, so I don't know if they're assuming that only like women are wanting to practice make out, and this is not a a man. Is this only marketed to women?
That's a good point. I didn't notice that it was only male faces.
And in addition to that, the reality is it's not the practice make out pillow that a person might need if they're going to purchase this. It's the practice conversation pillow that they might actually need. Or the practice let's not bring up our comic book collection too often pillow that they might need. It's not really the makeout pillow.
Well, you know what concerns me is that if you really wanted a practice makeout pillow, you need the eyes, you need the ability for movement, like facial expressions. One, because you want the pillow to reciprocate your kisses. And two, because if it's really about practicing, then you want the pillow to be able to give you feedback, which means if you kiss it incorrectly, you want it to roll its eyes, you want it to look disgusted. And these are so neutrally faced that most likely you're going to walk away thinking, I think I'm getting pretty good at this. And then when you get with a real person, there's a good chance they're going to be like, oh my gosh, what an awful kisser. And then you just wasted $31.
Right? You really thought about the mechanics of this, Joe. You want more test marketing, research,
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Right. So, then you might as well add that I need to buy this dinner pillow. The pillow you're buying, you're throwing it on your bed at home, and if you walked into a room and you've seen the makeout pillow, that's likely the end of any potential makeout prospects you got.
Oh, this pillow has got to be hidden before you bring anyone back to your apartment.
It's got to be in a safe, locked in a safe, supervised by teams of people, supervised by teams of people.
Absolutely.
I mean, this will ruin any chances of a makeout session.
I think you'd be better off having, like, Joaquin Phoenix and Her, like the operating system that actually gives you some sort of feedback, you know? Because you're not going to get that. You mentioned taking them out to dinner, you know, and can you imagine having the kind of pillow that you could take out on a date and would be like, oh, my gosh, you're only giving her a 15% tip. She was so good. You're so cheap. Like, you need to know. You need to know these things. Like, you know, what's going to make me a good date? What's going to get me back to the apartment before I even get an opportunity for that goodnight kiss?
I think they need to change course here, and they need to sell this like as a creepy pillow that you got people stuffed in your bed.
That's the marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think this is a Halloween gift. You could have arms coming out of the mattress, you know, feet coming out of the other. I just think the face and the pillow is just the beginning of the creepiness we can.
Can we
make
combine
this
with the Google Glass app we talked about a while back, where you can make out with your pillow and look back at yourself?
Right.
Yeah, well, I guess that would be a way to make out with yourself without seeming creepy to the other person. Right? So that's good.
The makeout pillow, I don't think it's going to make a lot of money.
I don't think so, unless you can find a way to buy, you know, at least like in this picture, there's 3 of these pillows lying on someone's couch or bed. I'm not sure if it's a couch or a bed. But if you could somehow argue that you could claim them as dependents on your tax returns,
right?
I got 3 mouths to feed at home.
Right. Literally, only mouths to feed.
Well, I just thought that was an absolutely crazy story.
This is a crazy world.
This is a crazy world.
This is a crazy world, and this is evidence that Armageddon is around the corner.
And this podcast is a reflection of this crazy world because it's a cultural thing, right?
Yeah, and we're talking about this. I mean, out of
Think
all
about
the things in the
that we've discussed.
all the things in the world we could be discussing, makeout pillow is a part of the culture that we had to be discussed.
Yes, this world is insane. We have on this show, to recap, we have talked about man bras and kissing pillows and people igniting snow in their front yard with flamethrowers and guys who haven't bathed in 50 years.
Life is our commentary. We don't write this stuff. This stuff is given to us.
This is ridiculous. You know, I mean, I guess I'm appreciative of the fact that these things go on because it gives us something to talk about. Otherwise, we might be sitting around talking about classic literature.
Right.
And that would not be quite as entertaining on a podcast.
Right.
Jason, you brought us an interesting piece that it's 9 bizarre love stories explained. We're going to make it 8 for the sake of time. But why don't you go ahead and just kind of start to explain some of these insane stories, and we'll kind of David and I will just give a commentary.
Well, the first one it's about is a man lives with a corpse as his lover. The story basically says, you know, as creepy as that is, I think when you hear it, I don't even know how to react to it.
There's a term for it, right? Like necrophilia, isn't that?
Yeah, I think that's the term.
Sleeping with dead people.
So we went from creepy makeup pillow, and we upped it a few notches, and we got someone, you know, living with their corpse.
Yes.
That's wild.
Well, it seems like this guy might have suffered some sort of traumatic event in the sense that he was an X-ray technician and he promised a dying patient who he was falling in love with for some reason that he was going to save her life, and he didn't. And so he talked her family into taking her corpse to a mausoleum, which he happened to have the key to.
Right.
Okay. And so I guess he felt so bad about the fact that he told her he was going to save her and couldn't. That stemmed a lot of this. I don't think that's a justification. I think it's still sick, but I think that's where he was coming from, at least.
Another one is a woman marries the man who blinded her. This was a woman who was married to somebody else, so she found out and broke it off. He got upset over it and hired somebody to attack her, and she ended up blind, and she fell in love with the guy that attacked her.
Now, we've talked about, you know, how we were going to mention love on this podcast, and I think that this brings forward the cliche that love is blind.
Yes.
No, oh, wow.
And the woman recently passed away, and I think they ended up eventually getting married, and they wrote a book I think called Crazy Love. This I don't even want to believe this is true. A man has had sex with 1,000 cars.
I have nothing to say.
The first thing that popped into my mind...
checked out of this.
I have nothing to say here.
The first thing that popped into my mind was a few years ago, Saturday Night Live did their parody commercials. and one of them was a car that had a special hole in the back for this purpose.
Nuh-uh.
I swear to you.
Yeah, it was a Saturday Night Live skit.
But apparently this is like a real thing.
This is a real... I wonder if there's a term for people who have intimate relationships with their cars.
The number here is irrelevant. They didn't need to put 1,000.
Oh, no. It could just be one.
Right.
It could just be one, and it's weird.
This guy is weird. The 1,000 only makes it like 1,000 times worse. This is crazy.
Do you think that the car industry sells sex like no, seriously, like subliminally? Because if you think about the advertising that goes into an automobile commercial, they use words like sleek, power.
Well, they're selling that good life, so to speak, like any other industry out there. I don't think this is the endorsement that Chevy wants on any of their vehicles. Have romance with our car. I just don't think this is,
We'll start having Valentine's Day sales at the car lot.
Right. Now, the problem is this guy didn't have a make-out pillow. I think that is the real problem.
That's
here.
true. He could have had one on the inside.
Yeah. Right. I don't know.
You do have to appreciate the fact that they referred to this because for those who can't see the picture, he's sitting next to a VW Beetle, and they refer to it as the love bug.
Right, that's true. There is something subliminal about that they included a VW Beetle there, don't you think? Like it was almost like he was the dominant one in the relationship or something.
Like it had to be a female car. Yeah. It's not like man has intimate relationship with a 4x4.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Because I think in some states that would have been illegal. I just think
they haven't legalized that yet.
They were making clear that it was a female car.
Maybe there was a constitutional amendment in his state that it had to be a female car.
Yeah, perhaps.
One man, one woman.
The custody arrangements were awful, though, with this guy.
He said it's a little bit easier than traditional marriage because rather than having conversations about things and making compromises, in these instances you can kind of steer the relationship whichever way you want.
Definitely. Yeah.
The next one the article mentions is a gamer marries a video game character, and apparently there was an actual ceremony for this.
No.
Yeah.
Tell us, what do you mean, an actual ceremony?
I'm sure I went to high school with some of these dudes that married. I mean...
Yeah, it says in the article that vows were exchanged, there was a DJ, and the ceremony ended with a kiss. There's actually a clip of it.
Wow.
Gamers are a different breed, though. And I'm not justifying this by any stretch of the imagination, but, gamers do spend more time with their video games than I'm able to spend with my wife. It's incredible.
It's one of those very time-consuming hobbies. I work with a guy who, he's like, yeah, I just beat this game. It took me 72 hours. And I can just imagine him at home sitting on his couch playing this video game for 72 hours.
And they market to this. I have a bag of Doritos at home that is marketed as gamer Doritos, and it's clear that you can set them on your table, and you only have to use one hand, so you don't have to break free from the video game system. You don't have a moment to eat a bowl of chips that you have to. I mean, that is. Do the moms just come in and feed these guys where they're playing? I mean, do they
spoon feeding?
Yes, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a whole world that I don't get that's happening that they can't break free to get one chip in their mouth that they have to keep one hand on the remote. That's crazy. I bet they need make-out pillows.
They probably do need make-out pillows, yes. But they would probably want them on a Nintendo Wii type version where it's a little bit more interactive.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. They would up it so because they can't live without their video games.
It says that he may suffer from, I'm going to pronounce this, schegophilia. Does that look right to you? Schegophilia?
Yeah.
Schegophilia.
Right. Which is a sexual arousal from a cartoon character. So... you guys and Vanity Smurf a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Number 6 on the list was...
A woman marries the man convicted of killing her twin sister. Now, in her defense, she believes he was innocent.
Okay.
But apparently she's the only one.
Or she just really hated her sister.
Man.
This guy did her a big favor.
And I thought no one could live up to the standard of, dating my daughter. I mean, I couldn't imagine the family situations created by this mess.
Oh, no. This sounds like something you'd see on a Nancy Grace special. Primetime, court case.
Could it go the Regis, not Regis, Jerry
Jerry Springer?
Jerry Springer. Could it be on a Jerry Springer episode?
Yeah, it could potentially be on a Jerry Springer episode. We've probably, in all honesty, seen worse. I think there was an episode the other day about, people who have relationships with makeout pillows.
Oh, right,
So-
right.
The next one on the list was twin brothers marry twin sisters and have twin babies.
This is the sanest one on the list.
Yes.
Now, you go there, it looks very sane, the pictures look very cute, the kids look well-behaved, but, I'd be afraid that I'd go to this family's house, they just look too perfect. Like you're going to walk into their house, down their basement, and the whole basement would be filled with make-out pillows. I mean, this is...
I think it looks like a TLC reality show. Like something in league with John and Kate Plus 8, or, like the Little People shows, or one of those Honey Boo Boo things.
You think they got a lot of drama going on in their family?
No, I don't know about drama, but I just think that people find shows where it's like people with extraordinary circumstances, like Sister Wives.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't have a ton of drama, but it's the interest factor. It's that kind of taboo thing about having more than one spouse that brings people back to the TV show.
You think that sometimes, like, the husbands are like, hey, let's play a joke on the wives, and let's pretend to be each other for a day.
Oh, they do the switch.
Yeah, they do the...
They pull the switcheroo.
Yeah, right. And who knows? Maybe both sets have done that on each other, and, there's a big confusion on who's who at this point.
Yeah. Well, your son is actually my son, and my daughter is actually your daughter, but we won't tell the wives about it.
Right, and then the husbands are having a reverse conversation, and, who knows?
Oh, wow.
This could be confusing.
The next one on the list, a woman stalker planned a wedding with her victim. And if you read this one briefly, she met the guy at church, instantly fell in love with him, wrote him like 50 letters declaring her love, and even set a date at the courthouse for them to go and get married. And the guy got a heads up when he got a phone call from the jeweler about paying for the ring.
Wow.
So they didn't get married, though, right?
No, they
She
did not
just
get
set
married.
the date.
She just planned the date and everything.
Wow.
Well, this doesn't seem like surprising behavior for a stalker.
No.
Necessarily.
Stalking behavior's weird and creepy.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Jason gave you that Captain Obvious tone.
right? No,
Tell us more.
no, but I guess what I'm saying is we make a lot of stalking jokes in society, but stalking's really not funny.
It says that she may suffer from limerence, an overwhelming romantic obsession with an unfamiliar person, as in The Fatal Attraction.
Unfamiliar. Okay, so this was a person she didn't know real well. Is that what we're hearing?
Right.
Just
That's
met
what
him.
it sounds like. Yeah.
Wow,
She met him
man,
at
this.
church.
And then the last one on the list, if you can believe it or not, may be the most bizarre one of all. A woman married a dolphin.
I think it's number 2,
And
next to the car situation.
that could be.
So you think the car is stranger than the dolphin?
I don't know. It's wow. I don't know. I was leaning towards the car, but animal love is also it's bizarre. It's up there.
Yeah.
I don't want to minimize the dolphin love.
There's actually a picture on the website of her apparently in her wedding gown at the ceremony, and it mentions that she actually courted the dolphin for 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
How does one court a dolphin?
I mean, what kind of a fight is the dolphin putting up? It's not like he can. It's not like he can sign the wedding license or
Right.
anything.
Hold on. I want to. I want to go and try some other fish in the sea here before we.
Hey, Sharon, what did you do last night? Oh, I met with my fiance. We sat on the dock and had a bucket of raw tuna.
Through some chum. Yeah.
Oh,
weird
my
world.
goodness. It is definitely a weird world. And I don't know why, but this article goes on to say, like, no, this isn't a gay marriage. Cindy is a boy. Cindy is the name of the dolphin. Now, you think that people's concern when reading this article about a woman marrying a dolphin was whether or not it was a same-sex dolphin human marriage?
I think my first concern is it's a dolphin.
It's a dolphin. That's
if there's any time for PETA, it's now.
We finally found something PETA can do for us.
Set him free. Go save this dolphin, please.
Oh, man. It says that she may suffer from zoophilia,
Zoophilia.
or sexual activity with a non-human animal, as well as bestiality.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing funny about bestiality.
Or mental illness that makes you marry dolphins.
Yeah. So we'll move on from that, but it's
zoophilia.
definitely weird. Definitely.
Weird.
Another thing that, this is it was a funny blog from a website called don'tpokethebear.net. Jason found this. And it's a man whose wife abruptly and rudely left him, and the only thing she left in their house was the wedding dress that she had used when they got married. And he asked her, "What should I do with this wedding dress?" And she said, "Whatever you want to do with it. I don't care." And so he proceeded to do whatever he wanted to do with this wedding dress. Jason, what were some of the crazy things that this guy did with this wedding dress?
Well, there's a picture on the website. He's wearing it hunting as like snow camouflage in the winter.
He's deer hunting or something.
He
right?
used it as a shower curtain. My favorite one, they didn't have a picture of it, but he actually used it as MC Hammer Pants.
Does this guy suffer from zoophilia?
I don't know, but he's definitely a jaded ex-husband who just wanted to, throw some salt at his wife, I guess. He washed his car with his Honda Element with her wedding dress. He used it as a car cover, a bib when he ate at Buffalo Wild Wings. He threw yellow and primary colored paint all over it like it was a Jackson Pollock piece and framed it.
This guy is heartbroken.
Yes.
Heartbroken.
Absolutely heartbroken.
I think the one most people will like is he wore it on Halloween as part of like a zombie bride costume.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Now, he had asked the wife, he had said, "What do you want me to do with this dress?" And then she responds, "Whatever the F you want." And then this is what he goes on. What if she comes home one day and says, "Hey, I need that wedding dress. Where's that at?"
If she sees his blog, she's going to know. I mean, this thing's obviously out there. He's blogging about it on a regular basis, and he's finding more and more creative things that he can do to just ruin this wedding dress.
True, but what I'm saying is this comes from such a dark spot that I have a feeling that he'd actually feel bad.
You think so?
Oh yeah, because this level of pain is because he cares for her. And so if she came crawling in, saying, "Hey, give me that wedding dress," he's going to be like, hold on, I gotta get," and he's going to be trying to get that ink spots off, for like 45 minutes before he brings it out.
And it's all ripped up and everything. But I heard on a radio show the other day, they were talking about weddings, and they were talking about wedding dresses being the biggest investment that a woman makes during, planning for her wedding.
Right.
But it's also the item with the least return on investment because they wear it on their one special day. And then for most women, it just kind of hangs in their closet and there's never anything. So, I mean, in a sense, this guy is getting a bigger return on investment from this wedding dress purchase than your average person would get.
That's true. I have a crazy breakup story.
Okay.
And if I can share,
Yeah,
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. But basically, I go camping 1 week and I come back home to a broken up girlfriend. The girlfriend breaks up. A few weeks later, I don't know. We decide, a bunch of my friends pull up in front of the house, and we decide to, me and her song came on. I don't know what kind of revenge I thought this was going to play.
What was the song?
High Enough by Damn Yankees.
Okay.
And so we're playing this real loud, and I'm hiding so we're all kind of hiding in the van, and then her brother comes out, and see, I don't even know. We didn't even really have a real good plan as to what we were doing. It just started with playing loud song at girlfriend's house.
Yes.
So the brother comes out and kind of looks at him like, "What are you doing?" And so then we leave, which was evidence of the poor planning. Well, then they dropped me off at the house, right? And so later, her brother and his friend come to my house. Was like, "Hey, man, what you been doing for the last hour and a half? What's going on?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?" And so they go, "Some van came. They're playing loud music. I don't know. They seem like they were up to no good." And so I go, "Wasn't me." And so I go, "Let's go find these guys." So then we go. So we go run through the neighborhoods of Hartford City trying to find these guys. And not only that, they see a van. So we start chasing a van.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, we didn't catch the van, but then we go into...
The vans are always to blame, by the way.
Yeah, right. The vans are... So then we go into her house. I'm in enemy territory, having been, just playing this loud music. And her dad's sitting on the porch with a gun. It was great. Yeah. And so I sold to a man with a gun that I wasn't in the van, but absolutely was in the van. Broken. I didn't, have any wedding dresses to chop up.
No, but you remind me of one of those Scooby-Doo villains. It's always the person who's helping them along with the investigation that at the end gets the mask pulled off of him.
Right.
And, And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for you darn kids and your stupid dog.
That's it. I'm hoping that Melissa isn't a fan of the podcast because I may be in trouble.
Yeah, well, maybe you could make do by tipping the cap to her at the end of the podcast.
Right. The van may come back to my house later or something.
I'd be more worried about her dad listening.
right, definitely.
With his gun. Jason, have you ever had any bad breakups that you would share a story with us?
When I was in college down at IU, the girl I was dating, I knew it was going to come to an end, and we'd said we need to talk, and I didn't have
which is code for it's coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, and as bad as I am at interpreting women, I knew where that was going,
Right.
and it's like it was raining that night. I didn't have a car, and she's like, "Well, we can talk another time. It doesn't have to be tonight." I'm like, "No," and I really just wanted to kind of get it over with. So I walked across campus, half hour in the rain, just so this would come to an end.
And then had to walk.
And then had to walk back after it was over.
Yeah.
That's anytime you see like in a music video like November Rain or something.
Yes.
When it rains, it's like a metaphor for hard times.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had a cliche breakup. Right?
Yeah, it was
And I use
like
no
something
small
you'd see in a
campus.
movie.
I mean, here
Yeah.
he's walking across a big campus in the rain, knowing he's being broke up. That's a rough day.
Yeah, that's terrible.
What about you, Joe?
I don't know that I have like awful breakup stories. The one that always comes to mind, there was a girl I went to a Christian private college, and I
you
think
got busted with the makeout pillow.
No. No, we did some naughty things at the Christian college, but nothing like the makeout pillow. It was more like sneaking Boone's Farm wine into the dorm rooms in like Sunkissed or Orange Crush bottles.
Wait, hold on. Did you hear that? The sound of Joe's degree being yanked off the wall.
Yes. Yes. Well, I dated this girl who was, she was very, very strong in her Christian faith. And, at the time I thought I was too, but I think she begged to differ, and she thought that I wasn't Christian enough. I wasn't going to be a pastor, and that was pretty certain. And I think she needed to marry someone who was going to be a pastor. And so I just remember one day we were driving 40 minutes to go to my mother's house, and I could see this look in her eyes that this was going to be the last day that we were dating. You know how you just get a vibe?
Wow. Yeah.
You just get a vibe.
I've
and
got
the whole
that vibe.
way over there,
Yeah.
I had this vibe, and I was like, I am sitting next to a girl who is going to break up with me by the end of this day.
Right.
And I just knew it. And so at the time, there was this popular rock song by the band Trapped, and it was like, back off, I'll take you on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
For some reason, this song was on the radio, and because I had that vibe from her, like, it really resonated in me. And so I'm singing this song loudly, like almost to prepare myself for this confrontation that was almost inevitable. So we get to my mom's house. I don't remember anything that happened there. We get back to campus. So this is maybe 3 or 4 hours later, and I knew that this was going to happen. And, of course, she sits down and she breaks up with me. And I don't remember much about the conversation, but I remember she walked away, and I remember being disappointed even though I knew it was coming. And here's the thing about it. I look back on me singing that loud song and proclaiming that I was ready for this conversation to happen, in a sense.
Right.
And at the same time, I can't help but wonder if me loudly and abrasively singing this rock song didn't help my case very much.
No, sure. Sure. Now, but if you knew it was coming, and that's a tricky thing. You would have to you got to know it's coming before you do this, because you may seal your fate too quickly.
Yes.
It may just be like my mom's sick, look in her eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But can you imagine if you know it's coming, the fun you can have? Like you could start being like some kind of bizarre weirdo. You can be like, hey, let's go hit Dairy Queen and start juggling some ice cream. And just, you could be a whole level of bizarre.
Suddenly you're a very spontaneous person.
Oh, yeah. And just be like, you just look, because I love messing with people. And that would be the ultimate, like, I'm going to mess with you.
Yeah.
That if you're trapped in the car for the next 90 minutes with me and you're going to break up, you're going to see the weirdest person that you've ever seen.
If only my mind was that creative at the time, I could have really had some fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough that I was driving this like 1970s van that had orange shag carpet.
I think
throughout.
I was chasing you one night.
Yeah, and it had a closet, and it had a sink, and it had a couch that folded out into a bed. And I mean, this thing was
I love
like
the van, by the way.
Oh yeah, for Shaggy or something from Scooby Doo, like this would have been that PIMP van of the 70s.
Right.
I needed a feather in my cap. But, in 2006, it was just kind of a weird
Old.
retro band.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess if I knew any better, like if I were to take your advice,
Right.
then I would have held off on the rock song.
Right.
And then as she was breaking up with me, trying to have a serious conversation, I would have stood up and loudly started singing that song, like, back off, I'll take you on.
Right.
Can you imagine the look on her face if I had done that?
And insisted choreography.
Yeah,
You know,
and yes, like Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld choreography, where I'm dancing with my thumbs out.
I mean, you could have gone all kinds of places. You could have been like, hey, before we get to my mom's house, we're going to pull over the side of the road, and we're going to turn the radio in between two channels, and we're going to pretend we're the last people on Earth. Just you could have done all kinds of
stuff.
Hey, we're going to hit the speedway, and we're not going to wear any shirts or shoes, and see if they don't give us any service. I mean, all kinds of weirdness. All kinds of weirdness.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go about it. If you know you're headed for a bad conversation, you either try and outdo the awkwardness,
right,
or you try and make it a breakup that she's never going to forget.
Right.
She didn't just break up with me; she ran away running and screaming.
Or could you say, now hold on, see, my mind must love these breakups or something, because then after she breaks up, she could say, well, okay, that's fine. What do I do with this winning lottery ticket now?
That would be bad.
So I don't know. What's wrong with me? Do I have zoophilia? I mean,
gosh,
no,
I hope
don't.
not.
Let me just declare.
What's his name? Do they call him Flipper?
No, I have no zoophilia. I have no make-out pillow.
Oh, goodness.
I just love a good breakup, I guess.
And with that, the cap ends its discussion on bizarre love.
Right.
And moves on to this week's Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, or this year's Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, which we are going to pull up and try not to stare at throughout the entire thing. But, David, tell us about the Sports Illustrated commentary that you wanted to kind of go over.
All right. The Sports Illustrated 50th Anniversary Swimsuit Edition. It features, I'll probably not get these names right, Nina Agdale, Lily Aldridge, and Chrissy Teigen. Now, I actually want to bring this up for a weird reason, and take it on whatever trails you want to, guys. But here's the deal: the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, when it came out, or I remember it as a kid. It was kind of edgy. It was kind of this idea, it was kind of, a guy gets to see all these women in these sports. It was sexy in these swimsuits. Well, the problem is here in 2014, we have a culture where, unfortunately, porn is just everywhere, and the value of a naked body of a woman is just not the treasure that it was, so to speak, when I was growing up. Now, I think that's a shame. Now, I think that the Sports Illustrated issue has maybe emerged as kind of along the lines of the pinup, because I think that guys, I think that there's almost more of a classiness to the Sports Illustrated issue than what we see out there today, and it's, I don't know, culture's kind of shifted, and if men are still buying the swimsuit issue when there's so much just clear trash out there, what's that say? I don't know. I think there's some cultural things we can chew on with this whole issue.
I understand what you're saying, though, because there was a time when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue was probably the pinnacle of sexy magazine covers,
right? Yeah, exactly.
And it was almost like shock value to see Cindy Crawford or somebody on the cover of this magazine,
right?
And now on any given week, you can find a Cosmopolitan or an Ebony or a, Esquire or something with some sexy person on it, and probably wearing less than what they would wear on the swimsuit catalog,
right?
But it's not a swimsuit. And that's the thing, too, is swimsuits now, it's just that's what you wear at the beach, and people kind of write it off. But if a star on the red carpet wears a skirt that is, it's got a slit all the way up to their hip bone or something, then that's what gets talked about for a long period of time. This swimsuit cover, after a week, is not going to be discussed anymore.
That's true. And now, do you think, do they still sell in the large numbers that they used to sell? And is a different market buying them than what bought them years ago? Because I think that, I guess what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, even though men, out there, they have trouble with porn and watch probably far too many internet videos than they should, watch. But I guess what I'm saying is that I think at the end of the day, the men find modesty and kind of a little more of that peekaboo more attractive than they do the if I call the garbage that's thrown at our face everywhere. And I think that I think the swimsuit issue is more kind of like emerging as like kind of your pinup, your peekaboo. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. Jason, what do you think about all this?
Well, I haven't seen the numbers as far as how many they sell compared to what they used to, but I think print media in general is kind of really on a decline.
Right.
Okay.
You almost have to have transitioned online.
Yes. But for one, I mean, we see this kind of cover out of Maxim every month.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's another good one.
It's just kind of, it's not the big deal it used to be.
True. But now do they like what is there still must be a market demand for stuff like that. And I find it interesting that it is when there is so much like it's just not when there's so much out there to see women and the Maxim and the play. We live in a day that's different where the market is saturated with sex and naked bodies and half-covered bodies. But I guess what I'm saying is this isn't it still has somehow emerged as kind of this staple classic issue. But see, it's not the rare thing that it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, to go and pick up a magazine with all the ladies' bodies exposed, it was kind of a rare thing. But now it's not as rare. But are men still gravitating to this particular issue? And does it come from a different place than say it does if a man's buying up a real raunchy magazine?
I would guess that this is just judging according to my own behavior. I think that there are probably fewer magazine subscriptions than there used to be, and I think that there are fewer people who run out and buy a specific magazine just for one reason or another. In this magazine in particular, because it's so just kind of bland in the sense of what comes out on a weekly basis, I bet there's a lot less people who run out and grab this magazine than what used to be, and I think we would be wise to go the other direction. If I were Sports Illustrated, if I wanted to maintain some sense of shock value and take back the consumer base, maybe I'd go out and have like the sexiest celebrities in full-on like gowns, like with absolutely no peekaboo. I mean, looking like a Middle Eastern woman or something, face covered, only their eyes showing or something like that. And and not because that's the way that I want to view women, but because it was like it would be opposite of what everybody else is doing. And so it would have a little bit of shock value to see someone like Rihanna, who's always showing everything off everywhere she goes.
Right.
And now you can only see her eyes.
Now
you get a different perspective on the woman.
I don't know if the Middle Eastern garb is where we need to go with that, but I think it would be an interesting challenge because if we said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We want the most beautiful women to have as much clothes on as possible and make the sexiest picture that you can make. And here's the deal. Here's the deal at the end of the day. Women do not have to take their clothes off for men to find them attractive.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Men just love women. And so when women, even in these Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues and much worse, it's just... It really is a degradation of women on a certain level, and I think we should challenge women to say, man, keep your clothes on, make this a treasure that it used to be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying. I don't know that I'm completely there with you because I think I am. I like women.
No, I do too. Don't misunderstand me.
I like slightly undressed women.
Right.
I mean that's aesthetically pleasing, and I don't necessarily know that I want to have a bunch of pro-feminist magazines with women in pantsuits.
I'm not saying we need to go feminist and pantsuit. What I'm saying is we make women more valuable, and we actually make the naked body more pleasing when we're not inundated by a culture everywhere. When it's everywhere, it's not as valuable. And it's not, and it becomes just a common item. And
but doesn't it become difficult for a magazine cover to do that? Because with photography, you're only tackling one sense. You're tackling sight.
Sure.
And so it has to be something that's aesthetically challenging or pleasing or that draws up some sort of emotion because you can't use sight, sound, touch, anything else. Maybe, you know what? Maybe that's what happens. The next Sports Illustrated
magazine
cover needs to be 3D.
Okay, all right. I think they've had the 3D.
Have they done that before?
Now that being said, they're always trying to have these clever locations, and I think in this current one they have her in one of the ladies in space. Or that could be an internet
in
rumor.
outer space.
I think so. I could be mistaken on that. But here's the deal: the men looking at this do not care about the location. It could be the city dump, and this,
I think that would be less. It would be less appealing. You know, you don't want to approach a woman in her bikini in a city dump.
True. Do you think there could be make-out pillows in the back of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue?
It's possible.
Or we'd be a little bit creeped out.
But I could see men though. I could see the argument about outer space. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you've got this bikini-clad woman floating around in outer space, and and obviously all three women on this magazine cover are wearing thong bikinis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a little more skin showing than your average bikini. And I could see
Sure.
guys looking at this thong bikini in outer space going, I'd like to orbit around that moon.
Right.
You know?
right. We can turn everything into an innuendo or whatever.
It's true. But again, that's part of the culture that we live in.
True.
You know,
That's true.
I mean, that's the sense of humor that's kind of progressed over the years, and
Yeah,
that we've kind of adopted naturally.
Don't get me wrong, gentlemen. I definitely love an attractive woman. I'm a red-blooded American guy, but there is this part of me that once, especially as a father of a young girl, man, I want women to be respected. They're more than a body, and I know that that probably makes me kind of the nerd on this particular issue, but because I love women and love women's body, I think they need to think twice before revealing it all over the place.
I don't think you're wrong for that, and I respect that. And as a guy who has a daughter, I certainly want the same thing. I want there to be, some sort of classiness to it, or some sort of respect or added value to it. But I think with these magazine covers, the women who are posing for these kinds of covers,
right.
they need to make sure that in their 365 days a year job, that they are portraying themselves as a person who has a personality and a worth that is beyond their sexual being.
I think they do have a responsibility for that.
Yes, and then when they pose for a magazine cover like this, then it is what it is. Oh, so-and-so is gorgeous. So-and-so looks great. But then we can look at that and say, not only is that a person who is extremely sexy on this magazine cover, but they're a person that we know upholds themselves well.
And there's some depth to them, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I understand that strategy as well. Let me throw one more thing at you.
Okay.
Marilyn Monroe. One of the, you see a picture of Marilyn Monroe, I guarantee as a guy, you're double taken. That is a beautiful, more than likely you're double taken. But or everybody apparently but present company is double taken. But the thing is, she is not. She by and large is always fully clothed, and so that is I don't know. I just think there's something to be said that women are selling themselves short. That men, you don't have to go the full nudity, totally showing your body off for a man to find you sexy and attractive and all that. And I just think I want that out there for women to know.
I'm giving you these facial expressions, and I'm just wanting you to know that my beef with Marilyn Monroe is she is opposite of what I was just talking about, because she was
she had no depth. That's true.
Yes, she was the front runner of those women who were charming and beautiful, but they were also ditzy, and like they didn't have this level of intelligence that what I'm saying women should really project out there. And so, I mean, it kind of gave women the green light to be, bubbly.
Okay, now I respect that. I respect that approach that you're saying. It was the personality of her, that shallowness, that airhead kind of approach. Like she's putting out there that all I am is beauty. All I am, and I can respect that.
Because I love sexy, man. I love it all day long.
Right,
but I also love smart. I also love funny. I also love thoughtful.
Right, and I think men do, and that's what we need to get out there. Men do love thoughtful and intelligent. I mean, there's nothing sexier than that librarian, with the glasses, pulling the hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and put them all together.
Right?
Good God, man.
Right. Maybe what Sports Illustrated needs to do is have the librarian issue. What do you think?
Bingo. Do you think that, take this in a little bit of another direction, but has the librarian, the sexy librarian look with the plastic frame glasses and stuff, and that's kind of come and gone throughout the years, and come back and come back and come back again. And do you think that the reason for that is because of that added, not only is it sexy, but there's an intelligence to the look kind of thing?
No,
like
I think
almost
that,
like it gives that illusion.
I think it's that absolute exactly what you're saying. The librarian sends a message like, "Yeah, I'm smart. I am a challenge. I'm depth. I have some depth. But you know what? I'm a prize. I'm a prize if you work hard to get it." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that's why that library. Jason, why haven't you spoke? Oh, he's too busy looking at the illustrator.
Take your eyes away from the picture.
You guys got this. I do want to say, in all seriousness,
Jason, what are you doing with that flash drive?
I do want to say, in all seriousness, I do love women in glasses, and because it doesn't imply an intelligence there. But like
it doesn't, or it does?
It does. It does
Yeah.
imply there's intelligence there.
Yeah.
But one of the girls on the swimsuit issue, I'm just not a fan of, Chrissy Teigen.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen her on several interviews on a sports talk show I listen to. They have her on frequently, and she just seems really stuck up and ditzy and wants to be the center of attention. I'm not a fan of her.
And you said she's John Legend's wife.
That is John Legend's wife.
Okay.
Right.
So
I mean, I'm glad we're all in agreement. I mean, here we are, 3 red-blooded American men saying women need to, act smart, act like there's some depth, act like there's some spirituality to them, and
be more.
Yeah,
be more than just the woman on the cover. I'm cool with the women doing the cover. I just want to reiterate that I'm cool with the women doing the cover, but there has to be a little bit more. There, because if you are just a naked body or a half-dressed body or whatever, you are essentially a mannequin.
Yeah, if
you
that's
are
all
a
you've got.
skin without personality, and I would challenge women to be more than just a mannequin.
All right, now you say, I don't want to take it there. You say, like, you're cool with the thing, but you got a daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there has to be this torn part that's like, wants more for your daughter than that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
But see, like, a lot of men, they think, well, if I embrace this sexiness that is in our culture,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time don't want my daughter to do it or pursue that, then it's kind of this double standard.
Right.
I'm saying that I'm totally cool embracing the double standard, that those women can go out and do that, but my daughter is absolutely not allowed to.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is.
All right. Joe, keeping it real today.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
double standards sometimes they catch a bad reputation, but I mean, sometimes just call a spade a spade.
But you got to be honest
That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
So.
Well, with that said, we're about 55 minutes into the program, and we are going to go ahead and end the conversation for the day, and we are going to go around the table as we always do when we end the show, and we are going to tip the cap to our person of the week. And we're going to start this week with David.
I'm tipping the cap to Team USA in the Olympics. They swept the gold in one of the snowboarding events. A Hoosier actually took the bronze, and so I'm tipping the cap to Team USA, showing their love out there in Sochi.
Right on. Jason, how about you?
I'm going to tip my cap to DC Comics. They announced recently that their animated movies that they release on DVD are going to start having more continuity, story to story.
Mm-hmm.
And Justice League War is an example of that. They have a cut scene after the credits to lead to their next movie. I think it's a great idea.
Well, I've noticed that the DC universe has been they've been playing it smart because they're working on movies, sure, and there's a lot of speculation about the Batman-Superman thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got Arrow, which is a successful show on the CW, and now they're working on a Flash TV show.
Yes.
And it seems like where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the Marvel end, they've been great with their films, but they have not had as much success with this TV show as some might have thought that they were going to.
Well, I think part of that is when they tie Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into the movie universe, it makes it really hard for them to introduce comic book characters because that's going to have an impact on movies, and that's where the money is.
All I'm really saying, I guess, is that it seems like DC is taking the thought that if we can dominate the TV market where they're currently dominating the film market while we're in preparation to unleash this, supposedly huge Batman-Superman film,
right,
then that's going to be the smart strategy for them to take, and I respect that.
And Fox is even working on a show called Gotham about the early days of Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne.
Right, so they're potentially going to have 3 big shows, because I don't watch Arrow, but it does have a pretty big following at this point.
Yeah, it just got picked up for a 3rd season for next year.
Right on. So I'm going to go ahead and tip the cap to, since we were talking about women with beauty and brains,
Yes.
I don't know, it just came to my mind that I think Emma Stone is that woman.
Okay.
I think she's extremely attractive, but I also think she's smart. I think she's funny. I think she's pretty normal.
Okay.
Jennifer Lawrence would be kind of another one, I guess.
Right.
But I think they kind of encapsulate the whole thing as opposed to like the Marilyn Monroe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm tipping the cap to her today, and also tipping the cap to my wife, because if you listen to this show, I might have some splaining to do, Lucy.
See, man, I don't think I have anything to be afraid of if Kim listens to the podcast.
No. Well, I mean, because you are who you are, and I think my wife knows me well enough to know
Right.
that I am going to be who I am too. And when you do a show like this,
Right.
you kind of exude yourself as you are, but you want to make yourself bigger, which
Yeah.
means that I have to.
I get a bigger ego?
Yes.
Oh, I can't
you
love
get a
it.
bigger ego. Yes, you get a big, but you have to say things that are honest, even if they're brutally honest.
Right.
Because if that's what's creeping up in your mind, it's going to resonate with somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if it's just resonating with like creepy pillow maker outer guy. I don't know.
I don't know who we're resonating with sometimes. With
Sometimes
our
I have no
articles.
idea. I don't know. But you know what's great? I resonate with you, and I resonate with you.
Right.
And you resonate with me. And we have a good show every single week. And that being said, we look forward to seeing you next week, and we will see you next time.